Disturbing new details about a triple homicide in the Tampa area. We now know the name of the man who admitted to killing his wife's family. A new pizza shop in Indiana is offering pizza with a purpose. President Trump says he'll cooperate, but called a new investigation into him a hoax. The crime tape is gone from this Naples apartment, but the scars from what happened inside are still fresh for many. Watch as the pilot lands in this person's yard, leaving neighbors in shock. Luckily, that person wasn't seriously hurt. It happened here along Northwest 27th Avenue. Wake News reporter Kristen Holmes has the latest from what appears to be ground zero in Lee County. Irma left a path of destruction across the Caribbean, killing about 24 people. This is ahead of a meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. How do you think that the U.S. allies will be watching closely now after this NATO summit? Governor Rick Scott is technically in the lead, and that's enough for this crowd right here. To give you perspective, I'm standing next to the pier, and it's made its way all the way up to the front end where you get on. The test satellite could mean leaps and bounds when it comes to space exploration. And a lot of us don't know what we're going home to, so we're right there with you. I've been seeing people trudging through this water, just trying to go on with their daily lives, but as you can imagine, that's very difficult. Well, this all happened in the heart of downtown Jacksonville, and an event that was meant to be fun for gamers who came here from across the country. Now it's the scene of yet another mass shooting in the country, as well as the state of Florida. Just 2 words have sent Miami into a frenzy. It's been a nonstop celebration here in Little Havana. This facility behind me houses more than 1,100 children, illegal immigrants who stay here on average for about 57 days. The video you're about to see from 2013 was obtained by a community member. It's also part of a complaint filed recently by a former detective. Now, it's not been authenticated. The original video that I requested from FMPD was denied because it's currently under investigation. And we do know Captain Jay Rodriguez is at the center of it. In March of 2013, Fort Myers police conducted an investigation into New Asian Massage on Boy Scout Drive after receiving complaints of the employees offering sexual services. This video posted to Vimeo last week and filed in a complaint to Fort Myers Police Human Resources shows then Lieutenant Jay Rodriguez entering the business.
Available for a night session?
A report confirms he was working undercover. The woman you see here was eventually arrested.
Thank you. You're pretty good looking too. Where are you from?
The video shows Rodriguez and the woman heading to a room where, off camera, Rodriguez can be heard talking about the massage and minutes later asks,
"What else can you do?"
The two are heard discussing prices for sex acts.
How much is that? What? 120? How about a hand job you take off? Yeah. How much is that? 100.
They come to an agreement, and the woman is seen leaving the room with money Rodriguez gives her. The report confirms this interaction.
Oh no, why are you going to keep leaving?
At this point, Rodriguez, left alone in the room, gets up and stands in front of the camera naked, which we're not showing. That's where the video and the police report seem to contradict each other. The report states Rodriguez never removes his underwear, that the woman tries, but he stops her and says he has to leave. But in the video, Rodriguez can be heard off camera seeming to engage in the sexual activity.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get dressed.
New at 6 tonight, police shut down a Fort Myers massage parlor after an undercover sting.
Investigators later arrest the woman and the owner of the business. Former FMPD Detective O'Neill Kerr filed a human resources complaint against Rodriguez over the video in December. Kerr worked under Rodriguez and was medically terminated in November. The HR director states the emails are being reviewed and told him no such video exists within city records. Captain Rodriguez and Chief Diggs didn't respond to any of my questions. The city and FMPD both do confirm that there's an active investigation into this video, though they couldn't comment beyond that. No word on if Rodriguez has been placed on leave, though he was working as of Friday. In Fort Myers, Britni McDonald, Wink News Now. Testing on this site was delayed because of Hurricane Irma, but for many in this community, it's been delayed decades. They want to know what's going on here and if it's already affected them. Today was just the beginning.
I've really been sick since I was living there.
Laverne Bryant is just one of many people who lived in Dunbar in the 60s when the city dumped sludge in this site without anyone knowing.
I'm like, damn, excuse my language, I probably got sick from that. I don't know, you know.
Decades later, a fence goes up and this testing begins.
Being that this was all lime sludge, it's been accepted as non-hazardous.
The groundwater these geologists are testing here today could tell us what may have ended up in this community's drinking water. Whether it's arsenic, aluminum, or anything harmful, these guys say they'll find it. Arsenic was discovered in the sludge in 2007 and in the groundwater in 2012.
Over the last 4 years, there hasn't been any exceedances, so there's been nothing above the drinking water standard for arsenic.
But did it end up in the community's well water many relied on years ago? And what about direct contact many of you had?
And the kids and everybody used to play over there.
They lived in this stuff 8 hours a day and played in it, and how would it affect them?
Geologist Scott McManus promises these tests will help provide answers.
There's going to be a lot of missing information from, if we wanted to go back into the 70s, and so the more data we get, the more we can crunch that and evaluate it and let the toxicologists do their exposure over time type of thing, scenarios.
Crews will be back out here tomorrow and Friday, but those results won't be available for another 3 weeks. From there, they will move on to the soil. In the meantime, though, many in this community are working on filing lawsuits for all the time that they didn't know about this and possible health effects from it. Count on Wink News to keep you updated every step of the way. I'm live in Fort Myers tonight. Britni McDonald, Wink News now. All new on Wink, a story that will tug at your heartstrings. For one Bonita Springs man, it actually did. Jose Femania is spending Christmas with the mother of the woman who saved his life after losing her own 16 years ago. I sat down with them about what it cost to keep Jose alive.
Yes, it's so great to see.
Looking at these two, you'd think they're family. They refer to each other like that.
This, sir, young man, is my son.
But for most of their lives, they were strangers who didn't even live in the same country. It took Jose Femania nearly dying and Charmaine Law losing her daughter to bring the two together. 16 years ago, at age 21, Jose was on his last leg at a Massachusetts hospital.
I thought I was going to die.
3 months in ICU after a serious stomach virus spread through his body, he got the news that doctors found a match for a heart transplant that would save his life.
It was a blessing that, and a miracle that, they found a blood type.
20-year-old Chardre Ioana died on New Year's Day after a crash near her home in Bermuda. Jose would get her heart hours later. But it took 11 years before Charmaine could bring herself to reach out to Jose.
It felt like I had known him for like 100 years.
That connection would only grow stronger when months later they decided to meet in person.
Their heart is still beating. Oh, it's a miracle.
A tragedy turned miracle, and now, for the first time, the pair is spending Christmas together at Jose's home in Bonita Springs.
I know they had a loss, but, if it wasn't through that, I wouldn't be alive.
It makes everything worthwhile. Him receiving the heart, him himself receiving that heart, it couldn't have happened to a better person.
What a beautiful story you just shared with us. How was it being in the room when they first met?
It was amazing. It wasn't their first time meeting. They had met before, but it was their first time spending Christmas together, and you could just feel the love in the air and this connection and bond that is really indescribable and something that they'll have for their whole lives. So it's amazing that such a tragedy can turn into a miracle and a lifelong friendship.
And they're staying how long together?
They're staying for basically the whole week together. They're going to spend Christmas together, and then she's going to fly back to Bermuda.
Perfect.
A missing 11-year-old Alabama girl is found dead. Now investigators want to know exactly who killed her and why, putting someone else in charge. Today, a Fort Myers City councilman wants to suspend the police department's Internal Investigations Division. Breaking now, a very sad update to bring you. The Fort Myers police officer who was shot on the job, Officer Adam Jobbers Miller, has died. That baby's okay tonight, but now his mother faces charges. The Night Beat's Morgan Reiner is live in North Naples tonight. And Morgan, how long was the baby in the car? An accused armed robber who ran home after the crime is now behind bars. A small community with a big heart gathered to remember those killed at a SunTrust bank in Sebring this past Wednesday. A gunman opened fire at the bank, killing these 5 women. If you want to help the shooting victims, make sure you donate to the right place. In a post on Facebook, the Highlands County Sheriff's Office warned of fake fundraisers out there. They said an obviously fraudulent GoFundMe campaign was set up. The account said it was for a victim named Kawana Wheeler, But as you just heard, that's not the name of a victim in the shooting. Now to an update on this fiery wreck on I-75 you may remember from last week. 4 teens were hurt here, 2 of them seriously. Breaking new details about a shooting that left 5 people dead in Louisiana. Authorities say 21-year-old Dakota Terrio is on the run, considered to be armed and dangerous. Family and friends gathered to remember this man who many consider the lifeline of the Fort Myers Beach Library. Dr. Leroy Homerding was stabbed to death 6 days ago at the library. The Night Beat's Anika Henniger shows how loved ones from Fort Myers Beach and his home state of Minnesota honored him. A longtime associate of the president is maintaining his innocence tonight. Roger Stone insists he is not guilty of charges outlined in a federal indictment. The Night Beat's Jeff Pegues has the new development since the early morning FBI raid on Stone's Fort Lauderdale home. The president was referring to the former top law enforcement and intelligence officials who launched the original Russia investigation in 2016. Roger Stone says he will plead not guilty in federal court on Tuesday. The death toll is rising after a dam burst at an iron mine in Brazil. At least 40 people are now dead and 300 are still missing among the debris. Yeah, this is interesting. Parts of the game will be broadcast in 8K and something called augmented reality. Wink News reporter Meg Oliver is live in Atlanta with more on that. Of course, the favorite thing to do during the big game is eat, and one of the most popular dishes, pizza. Pizza shops around Southwest Florida are now getting ready for the big rush. Wink News reporter Morgan Reiner is live at one North Fort Myers pizza shop. And Morgan, how are they preparing?